Hey bookworms, we are going to do our weekly whimsy. And I have Beth's piano here. I have already done my sketching or my pencil on the back there for my transfer and then started tracing it on. And then I started doing the ink work and I remembered last time I wanted to show you guys some of the ink work. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just tracing. I am going to use my smallest micron, the one that I have. And then I'm going to show you just a couple tips and tricks that I use for covering up some of my mistakes. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm not great at doing like really good pen work and like straight lines. But I've noticed that the pen, if you just sort of give it a sketch look, which is typically what most of our tracers are, it really is a pretty forgiving way to do this. So I just like to almost like double line things, and it gives it more texture and ridges and stuff, and then it's sort of forgiving. So like over here, for example, I don't know if you guys can see, but right along the edge of the piano there, I made like a line I didn't like and I made it a little wonky, and then I just turned that into like some of the shadow. So it's pretty easy to, for the most part, to like fix your mistakes with the pen work. And I feel like it just adds more to it really in the long run. So I'm using my smallest. Like I said, I've got three sizes of my own, depending on what I'm doing. And today I decided, since this is so detailed, to do the smallest pen. So so like this, for instance, I'm not going to get like a perfect line. I know I'm not. So, and it'll be like thin in some areas, but what I'm going to do is just sort of go over and make the line. And I feel like it just adds sort of like natural shadow and texture to it all. There we go. I feel like this is probably one of the most detailed ones we've done this quarter. So the boxes are getting ready to ship out. I'm excited for you guys to see the new ones. I have been packing them, and I will get them. I'm going to get them out a little earlier than I did last quarter. So I hope you guys are excited for that. I hope the book reading's coming along. I'm almost done with mine. I hope most of you are almost done with yours. Something that I thought was fun with the book that, because like I said, I've probably told many of you in other videos, I love the idea of the classics, and that's part of the reason I started this. And so many of our modern books and movies and such are inspired by the classics. But I realized I had not read many of the classics. I've read a few, obviously, college, high school, that kind of thing. But for the most part, I had not read many. And so that's a big reason I started this subscription box, is because for my own interest and hoping that other people would follow along with my journey, that I wanted to start reading the classics. So I'm reading these right along with you guys. Most of these are not ones I've read before. But anyway, where I was going with this was, I have not read Little Women. I've watched many of the movies, and I loved the 90s movie because I'm a 90s kid, with Claire Danes and Christina? Yeah. I don't know. Bad with maybe actors' names. And then Rhinona, all them. So anyway, I loved that 90s movie there, that the Little Women. Me and my sister used to watch it a lot when we were younger. But something that I thought was really cool, and that they sort of just touch on in the movie, but in the book they go into much more detail, is where they go into like the story of what the girls are doing in much more detail. Like it's like almost like a side story. And I thought that was a really neat way, really interesting. And I've read other books that do something similar, but I just didn't occur to me that that's something that Alcott did. So I thought that was a really neat little surprise within the book that I didn't realize was in there. Okay. So you can see how I'm like going over multiple lines here and there, just to make them look a little more straighter, and then also give almost like some natural shadow to it all. Now you can see I made a mess right there. I got too crazy with my lines, so what I'm going to do is like double line this area here. And that sort of covers up my mistake there. All right, I'm going to rotate that. And I did not do a good job when I traced the keys, so I just sort of redid them myself. They're not nearly as many or accurate, but we're going to go with it. Let me turn this again, I'm not getting the right angle. So the angle of the keys needs to follow this right here. The angle of the bottom of the keys, the white ones. Now, let's see if I can actually... I don't know, I feel like I'm going to mess this up. Let's see if this works. I might not like this when I'm done, but we'll try it. I don't think I'm going to. There's just not nearly as many. All right, I'm gonna try to make this work. Let's see. It's all right. We'll make it work. Add more texture here. We'll do that. When in doubt, add more lines. That's what I found out with the ink drawings. Actually, that's not bad. I don't mind it now. Okay, cool. All right. Just go with the sketchy look and then it'll work. All right. Yeah, I'm not upset about it. Okay. I think that's good. Okay, so let's finish up these legs. Got one more left down here. A little further down. Okay, and then the petals. Okay, and then let's see, do the petals here, and then their little boxes, square hole things that they go in, and I'm just going to color most of that in. Alright, and then I don't know the names of the pieces of the piano because I am not a piano player. So whatever these things are, these pipes that come down for the petals. Alright, so this is where I'm talking about where I'm not good with the straight line thing, and I just keep drawing lines until I feel like they look a little more even. And I'm going to darken it up underneath the piano to create more of a shadow. Round out the bottoms there. Not too bad. Okay. And then there's these pieces that come from the back here. I'm not really sure what those are. Change the sound, I guess, from the petals. So we'll just do that. Okay, and then the lid up here. And then I am going to keep this simple since most of my work again is done in the ink. And I mainly just do like a, similar to what I did with the shoe where we did more like washes. That's sort of my thing right now. You guys can see how I go through like little phases of what I'm interested in. Okay, that definitely took a lot longer than what I usually do, but this is the main bulk of my craft here. Okay, I am going to grab, so I have the gouache, I think I'm saying that right. I always forget how to say it. I've got this from last time and I want to try something. So I purposefully put this on a little palette and let it dry out. It's supposed to like water activate, similar to watercolor. And I haven't actually tried this yet. So I thought this would be a fun way to add some color. So obviously you can use watercolor if you don't have this, but this is, see, isn't that fun? And it's definitely more pigmented than regular watercolor, at least mine anyway. So this is another fun alternative that's nice to be able to just like quickly pull out, and you don't have to worry about, it's not like acrylic where you have to like clean the brushes and you know, get all the paint out and then it dries and then, you know, you can't reuse it type of thing. I'm really enjoying the quick easiness of this in watercolor. So, but I do love that this is so vibrant, like an acrylic is. All right, so I'm gonna just sort of give an all over color here, and then I'm gonna go back with some of my brown. You know what I forgot to do? Erase my pencils. I always forget that. Erase my pencil marks. What do I do with my eraser? There it is. All right, let me get this out of here. All right, back to that. So this is a fun little way to make your own little travel palette, is just get one of these little tiny palettes and then put some of the gouache on there. I think I'm saying that right, like I said. I can't ever remember I have to always look it up before I talk about it because I can't ever remember the pronunciation. Okay, let me wipe my brush off on paper towel here, and then I'm gonna grab a little brown. right, I'm trying to decide what else I want to do here. If I want to do background color or not. I don't know. Having trouble deciding. Let me think. I think I am going to do a little background color. I think I'm going to do just a tiny bit of the blue. This really is a pretty versatile type paint. It's pretty awesome. It's like the best of both worlds with the only thing that I think acrylic really has on it is that it like does dry down and is like definitely more of a permanent, because if you got this wet, that would definitely mess your painting up, just similar to like a watercolor. Once it's definitely not water resistant like the acrylic is, as far as keeping your paint where you put it if it gets wet. But I mean, the vibrancy of this is so nice, and it's very easy to work with. I would say it's almost even more forgiving than water. Like watercolor is forgiving in some ways because it's easily cleaned up and stuff like that, but it's definitely got a little more of a mind of its own. I don't know, it's sort of like something in between. It's pretty cool. Glad I did the blue. I feel like that made this pop for sure. I want it a little darker down here underneath the piano to make almost like a shadowed area. We go. I like it. All right, let me pull it up. Pretty. I like the colors. I like the gouache. Sure, we'll go with that. All right, I'm excited to see all of your weekly whimsies. We've only got a couple more left before we're done with this quarter, and you all should be receiving your boxes here soon. I'm excited for that, to get your feedback and see what you think. And I will see y'all soon. Bye.